Today on Reese Dixon, we are making some slip-covered outdoor furniture. Hi everybody, it's Teresa with ReeseDixon.com. Today I am outside because I'm going to take this couch that I rescued from the side of the road for free. It was literally garbage. I'm going to take this couch and turn it into a beautiful outdoor seating area with just a slipcover. It is so much easier than you think. Slipcovers seem so intimidating because it's such precise fit, but it's way easier than fitting a human. So if you've ever sewn anything else, you can sew a slipcover. Okay, so I'm going to show you my preferred method. There's a million different ways to do it, but this is the kind I like the best. What I've got here is some outdoor fabric. It came in a giant roll like this. I bought it from Joann's at the end of the season. And this is made to repel the elements. So it's perfect to protect our precious little garbage couch here. But once I got that, I did have to Google to try to figure out how much I needed. It's going to vary depending on what you're covering. So I just Googled how much fabric do I need to cover a couch, and then just made my best guesstimate. I ended up buying way too much fabric, but that's a good thing. You would much rather have that problem than the opposite. So buy more than you think you need, because sometimes these can be deceptively fabric hungry projects. Okay. So, slip covering, all you have to do is let the couch be your guide. Everywhere there is a seam on the couch, you'll be making a seam with your slip cover. So, right here, for example, in the backrest, there's a big seam right here where these three cushions separate. So, I'm going to put a seam there. I could cover this with one giant piece, but it would look baggy. If I didn't put that seam here to kind of take up this slack, it would just look kind of rumpled. And that's what gives slip covers a bad name, is when it's not custom fitted, then you get that little, saggy look. But we don't have to do that since we're making it ourselves. So if we put a seam everywhere there's a seam, it'll be tight as a drum and people will think that you reupholstered the whole thing. So I've got two pieces of fabric here that I'm going to use to demonstrate how I start a slipcover. Now, I have my pieces with the fabric right side up. A lot of times you'll find tutorials where they have the wrong sides down and they'll have the seams gathered like this. But I've had a lot of trouble with that over the years, getting it off the couch and repositioning it right. And a lot of times I've found that furniture is not perfectly symmetrical. You can have fractions of an inch off where fabric is bulkier here than there, and it's not perfectly even. So if you have it fit just so when it's inside out, you turn it right side out, the whole thing's flopped, and all of your careful measuring disappears. So I'm gonna put each piece where it belongs right from the beginning. So here's the seam that I'm gonna be following, and all I'm gonna do is take two pieces of fabric and butt them right up against each other. I'm gonna fold the raw edge under, like so, and then butt them right up against each other, right where that seam is. And then using my pins, I'll pin them together, right on that line. And then working one seam at a time, I'll take it off, sew it, bring it back, so that I don't have to keep a bunch of pins going at once. And often if a pin gets loose, it can change your whole fit, and anyway, trust me, you want to work one seam at a time. So I did that really kind of haphazardly so that I could just show you what I'm talking about. But if you do it carefully, you'll get a very neat result. And once you kind of open this back up to take it to your sewing machine, where that little pin is will show you the line to sew. Once I get these to my machine, I'll often put a line of pins this way so that I don't have to try to guess when I'm trying to keep the fabric where I want it at the same time. I can have another row of pins just kind of lining the way so that it's super easy to know where I'm going on the machine. So with that basic idea, you just have to do it over and over and over again until you get each one of these sections covered. So let me just start getting to work and you can see what I mean. Here's the backrest piece done. I've got my 2 seams here, and all you have to do is make sure that you cut the pieces big enough that they'll have room on the other side to make a new seam. You know, see how much extra I have over here? This is one project where you really want to have extra fabric so that you can spend it on getting the fit right. I've also got this back far enough that I can just sew it right to the next piece that will be the back of the slipcover. So as I'm working on my next piece, like I said, things can shift around on you, and when that happens, it can destroy your fit. So each time I get a piece in place, I'm going to take my pins and just stab right through and into the couch to kind of hold it still, so that as I'm pulling in one direction, I'm not stealing it from another side. Everything will just stay right where I want it if I'm keeping it pinned as I go. So now it's just time to add the next layer and the next layer until I get this whole thing finished. This is the last part of my couch that I have to slip cover. Everything else was more or less straight lines or just barely curved enough that it wasn't a big deal. But here on this arm, it's such a sharp curve that we're going to have to take some extra steps. Whenever you're in doubt, you can always follow what the original upholstery is doing. And you can see here that it's pleated as it goes around the arm of the couch. So that's the exact same thing that we're gonna do. This couch also has this front piece, and I'm going to basically replicate that. So instead of turning it inside out and trying to repin, I'm just going to do a top stitch over the entire piece that I fit in place, and that way it'll keep me from having to readjust all my pleats, and I think it'll really add to the finished look as well, so that when I'm done I won't have to, you know, redo everything. How I pin it is how I'm going to be sewing it. I'm going to start at the top of this curve. I've got my fabric piece folded over to hide those raw edges, and I'm going to pin it in place right at the top, just making sure that I don't pin it to the couch directly. I would need to be able to get this back off. And so now I'll start going on this side, and I'm just going to fold, like pull the fabric tight and give it a little fold to make that pleat. And that's really it. The only other thing to know here is that the tighter you pull it, the better it'll look. And you want all your pleats facing in the same direction. That just makes it look neat. So I'm just going to keep going all the way around until I make that curved shape and pin that in place, and then I'll top stitch it and my slipcover will be finished. So this project was not as simple as some of my other ones. This is definitely not something you should tackle for your very first sewing project. I did a lot of swearing while I was working on this because there's nothing you can do but just do a trial and error, which means you're going to make errors because that's how you find your way to the right thing to do. So this is going to stretch you, it's going to make you a better sewer. Certainly it's going to be a great way if you've never done upholstery to get your feet wet with very low stakes. This couch was free on the side of the road. This armchair was $5 at the thrift store. My only cost was fabric and time. So if I had done this with the couch in my living room and torn it to pieces and tried to put it back together only to realize that maybe my skills didn't quite match what I was going for, it would be devastating. But for outdoor furniture, who cares? So this is a great project to learn from, to grow from, and the final project is pretty outstanding. I love the color that it brings to my backyard, even in these overcast days. I love that I have this super comfortable spot to just be outdoors and enjoy nature, and the swing and the trampoline are just right over there, so Addie can be having his great time while I'm here comfortable, and it's just such a great little nook to just spend your day in. I'm thrilled. And the thing is that you can't go to the store and buy something like this. They don't exist. They don't exist. No matter how much money you had, you could not get this. But with a little ingenuity and a lot of sweat and some determination, you can make something pretty amazing. Now, these cushions they obviously don't match the fabric of the couch because they're just store-bought cushions. The cushions that came with this were destroyed by a yard animal. So I just bought new ones in a complementary color, but I love the contrast. I think it's just quirky and whimsical and fun. But if you want to do cushions and cover them yourself, I'll be sure and link to my tutorial for how to make a box cushion, and it's just the same method, just a slightly different shape. So the last thing I did was to deal with the bottom. You might want to hem it if you have plans of taking the slipcover on and off to wash it. I like my slipcovers as tight as I can get it, which means it is nearly impossible to get it off. So this is pretty much going to stay here. So I actually just stapled the bottom of my cover to the underneath of the couch. But you can also Velcro it if you want to, or like I said, just a simple hem. You know, like I said earlier, this is such a low stakes project that there's really just about anything you can do and it'll look amazing. So thanks for watching. I hope that this was inspiring. Please subscribe to the channel for lots more great ideas, including a new upcoming outdoor sectional that you're not going to want to miss. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. And I said that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.